Uh, Good morning to you, in alignment, in solidarity with the brilliant, courageous people of Myanmar in their ongoing radical struggle for democracy, freedom, rule of law, the liberation of the incarcerated, imprisoned leaders, including Aung Suu Kyi, the president, my beloved friend U Win Taint, and the 54 million people of Burma. Today, part 2, speaking up for my friend Aung San Suu Kyi of Burma and the people of Burma in their fight for democracy. Thank you for joining me here on May 26, 2021. It's known as Vesak. In the Buddhist tradition, the day attributed to the young man Gautama, also known as Buddha, the awakened mind. It said on this full moon some 2,600 years ago, he chose to sit under a tree after ardent practice for years and enter as fully as humanly possible into the epicenter, to the all-inclusive engagement of consciousness in form, in context. I wish I could see the machinations of enlightenment in that way. I've had my ever so little tastes, powerful as they are, of the practice of satipatthana, vipassana. Today, it said the Buddha was liberated through the initiative, through the power of mindful intelligence, liberated psyche in source, in the substratum, all dimensions of consciousness, dream time, waking time, altered time, the primordial forces of greed, anger, and delusion, known in Pali as kilesa. As I understand it, Dhamma practice is the engagement, the dedication to self-responsible engagement, to seeing, feeling, and knowing the nature of kilesa, the machinations of greed, anger, and delusion within one's own mind and body, and taking as radical a self-responsible presence with their presence when they arise. The ultimate existential game, if you will, to retrieve the projection, the primordial blame, the righteousness, the indignation, the accusatory role that we all play in other people violating us, which is a very, very razor-sharp edge. We are often violated. But there is no end to the retaliation of violation. An attribute that I find intimately expressed in Burma's Revolution of the Spirit, a term brought forth by the people of Burma, popularized by the incarcerated Nobel Peace Laureate, the state counselor in Burma, Aung San Suu Kyi. Let me just pause here. This is the most important talk probably I have ever given. Set aside the fact that I ordained as a monk in New York with Mahasi Sayadaw, my preceptor and my first mindfulness teacher, at 29 years old, 42 years ago, flew to the precious country of Myanmar, Burma, where I undertook a monastic life, a meditative life, under the tutelage not just of Mahasi Sayadaw, the other nuns and monks in the country, but the teachings of the Buddha here on Vesak. So I'm paying deep homage and tribute as a son of the Buddha, a son of the Dhamma. And I only encourage you to follow your own heart and your relationship to your Dhamma practice, your meditation practice, and where is your loyalties? And how do we live in fidelity, more honor, more ethical courage to the fidelity of those loyalties to self, family, country, nation, universe, and moreover to freedom. Now, I have to say this. Yesterday, I gave a presentation, part one of this talk, speaking up for Aung San Suu Kyi and the people fighting for freedom in Burma, freedom itself. I ask you to go deep inside of your heart and share yesterday's video. I don't mean just share or tag people. Deliberately invest in freedom and universal human rights and democracy. See Aung San Suu Kyi, the people of Burma, as our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, our families, and democracy in freedom. The one world, one citizen. We all belong to this country of the heart. May I invite you, may I ask of you, encourage you, be a force multiplier. Share that video, share this video. Make it a meditation practice. I have met people in the last couple of days who've written to me. They're writing articles. They're sending it to radio stations. They're including emails to these people. You must excerpt this. You must announce to the world the atrocity, the crucifixion, the massacre of democracy in Burma under this satanic evil man, Ming Online, and his State Administration Council, the latest acronym on the planet of evil. The Boko Haram of Burma, the Pol Pot of Burma. And please, share it to the media, share it on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Send it to your friends, ask them to be force multipliers. Speak up, feel up, resonate with the freedom and the civil disobedience movement in Burma, and do not let Aung San Suu Kyi and the other elected leaders who are incarcerated right now, being paraded before a military tribunal, an Orwellian tribunal, a complete facade, a radical rape of justice, an insanity, a sociopathic evil. And the media is reporting this as if there is nothing really to say. Freedom is under assault. We are the people. Put it out. Send it to every ambassador at the United Nations. Send it to President Biden. Send it to all congresswomen, to senators. Send it to all Burma groups worldwide. May I implore you, may I encourage you, please, on behalf of the people of Burma. The world has let them down. It's in our hands, in this window of opportunity, to step up and fight for freedom. It is being knocked at our door. I said it yesterday. Martin Niemöller, the Lutheran priest, the famous poem, a Nazi Hitler sympathizer who then went to Auschwitz and only later said, first, the white supremacist, ideological racist came and got the communists, but I was a Lutheran priest. I didn't speak up. You know where I'm going with this. You know the poem by heart. But boy, bring it home. The world is infinitely, digitally, physically, interrelated. What happened in Hong Kong, what happened in Tiananmen Square, what happened in Tibet, as I said yesterday, there is no Tibet to save. The Dalai Lama made this point 30 years ago. He was free around the world, speaking on international media. If we do not act now, there'll be no Tibet to save. Aung San Suu Kyi and the people of Burma, the internet has been blacked out. She has been incarcerated, doesn't even know where she is. We do not know where she is, but we know where she is destined. Prison, life in prison. there'll be no Burma to save. There'll be no America to save. There'll be no Canada to save. This is not alarmist. This is fact. China is wanting to go to war with the world. Look at Australia today. The world in 1 year, 2 years, has infinitely collapsed. I do not see it getting better unless you and me, our friends, our tribe, take democracy, take our lives, take universal human rights, get up our damn cushion, get off our zafus, get off our mats, and rise up in the fidelity of putting our Vesak, our Dhamma, our Buddha, our Sangha, our intelligence, our courage and action into dynamic action. Share these videos, write your own articles, write your own post. Let the world know that we are bearing witness. No, not alone. We are acting on behalf of the people for loving freedom. Okay, point one. Thank you for tuning in. Some things you got to get passionate about. The fight is on. I woke up crying this morning, saddened. I said, no chance. Vulnerability will be there at the right time. This is the time to step up, Alan. No matter what you think is going on, what's being diagnosed, so be it. Live in the radiance of the healing energy of your own ethical, spiritual intelligence and courage. Let that be the guiding truth of your being, not prognosis, not diagnosis, not familiar habitual patterns of self-shame or worry or doubt or money or hope. Drive up, rise up into the radiance of what defines your life. The courage to care, as Aung San Suu Kyi told me 26 years ago, the essence of our revolution of the spirit. The courage to care. Think of those words, the courage to care. Not about myself alone. Yeah. Boy, the self-help movement is just done. Let that help be through the vocation of the primordial mother. Giving back, dynamic, engaged action. I care about you over there. You don't need to be a blood relative because you are a heart relative. I love you, Burma. I love you. Anywhere there's oppression, you will find my hand and heart and my conscience and my integrity. Let's step up into a new level of activism. Thank you very much. Let's get off of our own healing curriculum. Let's get out of our suburb, our isolation, our clique, our little cultist needs, and break out. Care for the freedom of others as if it was our own. Pause. A couple of announcements that I'm very proud to say, which I'm dedicating to the freedom-loving people of Burma. I decided yesterday that I'm going to loosely define, because I just prefer spontaneity, a new spiritually incorrect show. And it's tentatively titled Dead Man Walking, Freedom Never Dies. And I think I'm going to do a digital theatrical piece, a 6-week run somewhere where I'm living next month, 2 months, and do all that I can to extemporaneously bring forth through satire and comedy and humor and poignancy, all the dimensions that are important to me in this extemporaneous expression of Dead Man Walking, Freedom Never Dies. Sort of a final on the bow of the Titanic scream, love hymn poem, rad, whatever you want to call that theatrical creative expression. I want to do it. It gives me hope. It keeps releasing me from my own primordial fear and attachment. So that's coming up. Be looking for it. I'm not sure how I'm going to produce it exactly, but I think it's going to be somewhere, as I do now, in a living room with a stage set with lighting and big flat screens, and Zoom, and do all that I can to offer it as freely as possible, hopefully on donation. Pay what you can pay, help support the world and myself, but dedicate it to the freedom-loving people of Burma. And Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, we will not let you down. We will not forget you. This is my cry. 6 weeks coming up soon. To my friend Kelly Wendorf, an amazing woman, New York Times bestselling author. She and I have been talking. We're going to do a conversation interview with me based upon my new released book, Extinction X-Rated. That's coming up soon, also offered freely or on Donna, and we'll do that on Zoom. And finally, an international premiere of my newly released documentary film, Spiritually Incorrect, sort of a mild version of my book, Extinction X-Rated. And I really want to put that out there. Peter, the director, did a great job making the movie. It was his creation, and I want to present that because it has so much of my heart around Burma and Aung San Suu Kyi, and primarily it has footage the world has never seen about her and about my time there with her. In today's talk, which I'm going to get into now, speaking up for my friend Aung San Suu Kyi as she sits at the moment under detention in the capital, Naypyidaw, what looks to me to be destined any day now in this mockery of justice. There's no trial for life in prison. And I don't know about you, but I will not let that stand without continually talking up, not just for her, but for who she is and what she represents, not just to the people of Burma, but to the freedom-loving people of the world and the people yet to be born on our precious planet. Okay, so that's the beginning. Share, share, share. Please put it out. Yesterday's talk, it's on my Facebook page, and today's talk, may you share it wide with groups, friends, the media, wherever you can find it, representatives, senators, governors. Let the whole world know that we are watching. We care about freedom and democracy. We care about Aung San Suu Kyi. We care about the nearly 5,000 other boys and girls, men and women, nuns and monks, journalists, doctors, teachers. Burma is this close to becoming a completely, utterly collapsed, beautiful country. Bombings are taking place in the cities. Monasteries, monks, I'm told, and nuns are beginning to go hungry and starving. Thousands, tens of thousands of internally displaced people are in the mountains, in the jungles, in the forests, hiding, being chased, persecuted, hunted like animals by the military satanic cult led by this demonic man who's lost his mind, Ming Online. It's out of control. A raging fire of hatred and demonization of freedom. So, nice to see you, nice to have you. Thank you for being in my life. It's Wesak. There's something about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, the three refuges, that I want to use the word define my soul, but more specifically are the actions of my own conscience. They're what I would call the mindful, intelligent fibers of how I decide what to think, say, and do, and how I understand what I'm saying, doing, and acting, and its value, its efficacy. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, those refuges, known specifically by the word Dharma or Dhamma, the most ancient word that I know on our planet that speaks to the employment of qualities of consciousness to liberate consciousness from fear, greed, and delusion, and elevate love, kindness, compassion, and freedom. Dharma and freedom. The action, the cognitive action of freedom from fear. Coexisting with fear with freedom. I'm going to speak more about that. The word Dhamma, today on Wesak, the guiding principle of my own consciousness, the intelligence, the navigational wisdom, so to speak, of how I decide what to do with whom and when and how to do it, how skillful it is. How does it further the vision of hope in my own life and the vision of hope and freedom in the lives of others? To me, it's democracy in action. It's freedom in action. It is the employment of mindfulness in all postures, all context, all streams of experience, thought, speech, and action, for the singular purpose of overcoming fear, greed, and delusion, and the opposite, the elevation of the ancient principles and the experiences of love, of kindness, of compassion, growing more and more familiar, like a mother with her own child, to the protection of decency, dignity, coexistence, beauty, love. All of us have been children, all of us know children, all of us see children. They have that special innocence in their heart and eye. They're dreaming. They're enchanted in the most simple, innocent ways. May I invite you today, right now with me, let us return to that place of relaxation, of innocence, to feel the fidelity of that quality of awe, of hope, of peace, of joy, the anticipation of a higher order happiness, that we're growing up and into a greater maturity of understanding, not the deal of growing older to work and to become more encrusted and paralyzed in this contortion of culture and so-called anti-civilization of aesthetic love. How many people, how many times in our lives have we seen that we find our lives in contortion, jagged experiences, somewhat squashed into behaviors and relationships that contort, conform, manipulate. And all of a sudden we have an awakening. We have a ceremonial heartbreak, elevated, mystical joy space. We do the mystical ayahuasca, we meditate, we mindfully psychedelicize space, and we see the cultural entrapment. We see the psychological chains. We feel the sculpting that keeps us in behind the fluidity of innocence, and we lose our child. We lose our Dhamma. That's life. I'm inviting that today on Wesak. Break out. You can be sure the people of Burma, no matter who they are, where they are, yes, it must be difficult, but they are activated. Today is a day on Wesak. The Buddha gave us the message. The boys and girls that hung with him too gave us the hope that you can activate the very best of your own conscience and consciousness and rise up into anything that you want to be. Freedom is more important than fear. May we remind each other, may we remind ourselves today, where do you hold yourself back? Why do you hold yourself back? Don't go too far into the psychotherapeutic trap of trying to figure that out. Just get back into your cognitive, liberating, anti-asana yoga practice, which says, you know, I refuse to participate in conformity. Hey, Mr. Ming Online and Naypyidaw, guess what? You already lost. You already lost. You can't defeat freedom. Freedom grows all over the world. Its root system is interconnected. Evil is already dead. It keeps alive through the toxicity of the gun and the money. Try to eat money tonight rather than your prawns. It's disgusting. Aung San Suu Kyi knows how to breathe. The people of Burma in their nonviolent resistance know how to feel. Hey, Mr. Dictator, we see you over there. We're going to shame you and mock you into the ridicule of your own self-denigrating behavior. Pull back your gun, take down your pants, open up your heart, stand naked before the truth of your own conscience, dude. Let your wife fucking look at you in the eye and say, you are fucked. Because no one wants to talk this way. It's wrong. Facebook may even not allow this video to continue, but yet we continue ethnic cleansing, murder, persecution, the desecration of the planet. We have an apocalypse on our hands, and hey, you dude, we see your evil, and we're going to confront it with comedy and satire, creative activism, and we refuse to participate in your game plan of denigration. Burma will not be the next Tibet, dude. Hey, Mr. Xi Jinping, your days are over. You and your CCP and your 90 million running dogs are over. We see you. You cannot defeat freedom. America, we see you, Mr. Biden. You cannot defeat freedom. We see the lies of our culture. We see the lies of Wall Street. We see the lies and the greed of Silicon Valley. I've seen the lies and the greed of my own psyche. Is it over? Yes. I'm giving it up. I'm inviting the whole world to rise up in the patriotism of a revolution of freedom from fear, greed, and persecution and denigration. Let's drop our relationship to the great extinction that we're in, and let's re-envision a more sacred earth, a sacred life, a peaceful life. Aung San Suu Kyi, we see you, we feel you, we resonate you. All of the people of Burma, you are not alone. Send this video out, please, worldwide. Pause. Don't just put a tag onto a few people and reluctantly, oh, it's going to break the theme of my normal video, Instagram, Twitter feed theme of me and my online teach, retreat, whatever it is that you need to sell in order to feel that your life is nothing but meaningless nothing. Fucking participate in democracy. Support Aung San Suu Kyi. Support the freedom-loving people of Burma. Share this video worldwide. Put it into the inbox 10,000 times of our senators, our congressmen, our governors. Put it out there to all prime ministers, all ambassadors, every newspaper, every media source, every radio station. Let the whole world know that we are watching, that we care. We're force multipliers. We're the 8 billion people. And hey, you boys and girls in white suits and leaders around the world, we do not belong to your cult of evil, weapons and killing and totalitarianism. We're taking the power back. Aung San Suu Kyi did that with toxic masculinity over there. And they're trying to denigrate her permanently. The second great independence will not be squashed by Ming Online, right? Let's lose it on the dance floor of freedom. This is an ecstatic dance that includes all outrage, all fears, all doubts. Cry on that dance floor, Yoga Barn. Cry into the great sky of hope. Scream out. There's plenty of room on the stage for every form of art, every form of theater. Take your clothes off and get naked in the natural tantric yogic eroticism of standing in a love affair with democracy. Make love with universal human rights, not just your partner, not just your masturbatory hope. Take it out of the container of your denial. Let's stop overcoming trauma and give hope a chance by participating in the freedom of other people's lives. Overcome our shame, our anxiety, our stress through the diabolical, tragic, spiritual journey of inaction. Me, working on me, working on me, being mindful of me, working endlessly on me, overcoming my fucking stress and anxiety and my trauma, and over and over and over, me being mindful of me and the sanctity of my fucking mansion, teaching people in silence, giving the same old fucking talks over and over and over again, the same own, just give it up. Stop teaching asana. Deliver freedom. Democracy, our world is in collapse. Aung San Suu Kyi and the people of Burma are giving us a heavenly messenger. Burma is not over there. It's in our own hearts. Believe me, you know it as well as I do. Germany was Germany. Third Reich was Third Reich. Hitler was Hitler. It became a global war. It almost took down the planet. Right? Ming Online, Putin, Xi Jinping in China, first Tibet, then Hong Kong, the Uyghurs, the people of China. They want to take out Australia. They want Burma. Burma's rich in slave labor. Imagine your boy and girl going to work 18 hours a day with a mask on her face, taking a bus packed in like sardines to work using strange contraptions to build, construct things that they would never use or even dream or even know what they are in order to send them to some foreign country to be used or worn as a plastic somewhere in the car engine of a car you can't even pronounce or even drive. Slave labor. Burma is a slave labor camp for China. Overlorded by the man in the military, the terrorist cult that is oppressing, suppressing, and cognitively raping Aung San Suu Kyi at this very moment, and the 5,000 other men and women in the gulags of Burma, the thousands of others that have been killed over the decades, the nearly 1,000 people that have been killed since this military satanic cult coup d'etat, February 1st in Burma. Do not allow it. Wash off apathy. Wash off insensitivity. Beautify with the fragrance of empathy. Put on the anti-mascara of compassion. Feel our interrelatedness. Feel our nature together. Democracy as a planet. Universal human rights as a species on a planet. Universal, global. The oxygen of one is the oxygen of all. To state the obvious that's so fucking hard to get. We're all in the same ecosystem of consciousness. And it's a fucking perversion of perception to think we're separate. Aung San Suu Kyi is your mother. She's your sister. She's your savior. She's your Avalokiteshvara. She's your Buddha in a feminine form. She's your Dhamma. She's your Sangha. She's your awakening. She's your ally. She's your eyes. She's your heart. She's your mind. You're flawed. She's flawed. We're flawed together. But she has dedicated, like so many others who have died in her country, killed in her country, raped to death in her country, tortured to death in her country, stood up for the greater good based upon one powerful phrase. She told me, and I've been saying it for decades, the essence, Alan, of our revolution of the spirit, the essence is the courage to care for things larger than your own self-interest. And if enough people in our country empower that vocation, our revolution will be successful. Even if it's not in my lifetime, it will be successful. That message is a timeless meme spreading throughout the lands, and may I encourage you as you share yesterday's video and share today's video, we're keeping alive the timeless experiential theology of freedom and democracy and rule of law, coexistence, peaceful coexistence in dynamic action. We're doing exactly what the Holiness, the Dalai Lama, said 3 decades ago. If you do not act now, world, there'll be no Tibet to save. I woke up crying today. It's everything I can do not to cry. not about my own condition. It's not irrelevant. It's everything. But it's hard not to weep for humanity. It's hard not to weep for the animals. It's hard not to weep for the children. It's hard not to weep for my own daughter's future. It's hard not to weep for the oceans. The wind and the sky cannot vote. We're interrelated creatures, and without the meme of the courage to care for things larger than our own perverse self-interest, we will die. And we will die, and they call it re-death, not rebirth. Re-death, die and die and die again and again, as a species, as a planet, as a cosmos, as a galaxy, as an existence, as an infinite causality. We will die until we understand our interrelatedness, in my humble opinion, and have that absolute radical courage to care beyond the divide of separation for people and things and nature and life over there. Hey, Aung San Suu Kyi, you're not alone. They blindfolded you, but you can see through those blindfolds. You have conscience, you have grace, you have compassion. You're humble, you're honest, you're direct, you're forthright. You have a short temper like me. You don't suffer fools, especially idiots like Ming Online, easily. I'm crass, you're refined. I'd wring his throat. I'd get into a fist fight with him. He would want to torture me to death. With you, you sit in a humble, poised, graceful way. Again, share yesterday's video worldwide, frequently. Get into a course activation. Be a force multiplier. Please share these videos. Share today's video. Write articles. Send it out everywhere, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, to the media, to the United Nations, to our governor, to our senators, to our friends, and tell them, be force multipliers until the world is overflowing and inundated with the courage to care about freedom in Burma as the freedom in our own home and our own land. Give freedom a chance to breathe through our own activation today on Wesak, the day the Buddha was awakened. Through his own initiative, he kept alive the radiance of freedom, as I understand it, through the overcoming of the contraband of freedom: self-interest, greed, pride, righteous indignation, anger, violence. Imagine right now if the world was free of violence. Let us dream. But equally today on Wesak, it's the application and making good on the promise of the dream. Let us employ everything in our human mind and power of heart to embody in our own humble, little, powerful, humane ways the power of the prayer, the radiance of the holy, the luminosity of the liberated soul that's saying, I care about you, Lord, known in the body of the other. I will give to you, young child. I will give to you, Father. I will worship with you, grandmother. I will bathe you, holiness. I will brush your hair, Aung San Suu Kyi. I will take care of you in my dream, in my life, in my hope. I want my life to be a dedication to democracy, to freedom, and the universality of human rights. Today on Wesak, a talk dedicated, speaking up for Aung San Suu Kyi, the state counselor of Burma, the epic nonviolent activist. Now let me say a few things as I end the talk today. And again, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing these videos. Thank you for being in my life. When I think of Burma's struggle for freedom and why it inspires me rather than just the rah-rah, what's the essence of this inspiration? As I understand it, Burma's struggle for freedom, the civilian struggle, not the military struggle, is rooted in this quality of peaceful coexistence as premise, the premise of peaceful coexistence. The motivation of my presence is to create as deeply and as embedded as possible peaceful coexistence. Let the army, let the military be a dignified institution that protects the people from outside violence, not to persecute the people like the military is doing today in Burma. Not a means of control and denigration, pillage and stealing, but a dignified institution. Peaceful coexistence through nonviolent means. What does that mean? And I just love this part, is I so wish I could have learned more of it in school and family, but so be it. Here we are. Is the beauty, the fidelity of communication. Speaking, communicating, listening, the aesthetics of interrelated auditory, vibrational, coherent communication, the study of language, etymology, syntax, time, space, tonality, meaning, definition, motivation, all the attributes of the aesthetics, the Dhamma aesthetics, the artistry of language and linguistics, and the communicative nature of human life with life. And it includes not auditory vibration alone and meaning and definition, but also the psychic intuitive interplay of the, what I call the erotification of meaning. The deeper, the ubuntification, the shared evolution of meaning. My democracy is not the only democracy. Our democracy together, as they merge in the ubuntification of shared meaning, becomes a higher, deeper, more strengthened fabric of freedom. That's the antithesis of violence or domination. You can win in the short term through the gun, but in the long term, you sow the seeds of who dominates with the gun. You'll meet people who will fight you with the gun, fight you with the nukes until there's no more planet. Aung San Suu Kyi and the people of Burma committed themselves back in '88 to a non-violent struggle for freedom. That is rad. They called it a revolution of the spirit, and she has not deterred herself from that, although an elected civilian leader, as a politician, trying to inherit and coalesce and evolve a rogue institution in Burma over the last 70 years, run by satanic dictators. It's so ironic that her father started the Burmese army, and over the 75 years from the time he was assassinated, it has metastasized into an evil institution run by toxic, sociopathic men, supported by other dictatorial regimes, supplying it with weapons, cash, and the buying of rubies, oil and gas and lumber and slave labor. She and the people of Burma said, no, this is not the way. It was not my father's vision. It's not the decency of democracy. I understand the role of an institution called the military, but the way you guys and girls go about it, it's called cultism. It's called satanic ritual murder. But she doesn't use that language. She speaks of it and tries to inspire them into a higher order understanding. And over the last, 13 years since she's been released from her last house arrest. I mean, who among us can live with a borderline personality disorder? Who among us can live with a bipolar partner? Who among us can live with someone who's violently abusive through language? Who among us are willing to live with a violent partner? Oh, I think I'm going to work it out is called insane. Well, people have called her insane for trying to non-violently employ the ancient technique of non-violence, non-demonization, and reconciliation with the evil. And look where it's gotten her. International vilification, global democracy icon, fallen from grace. Let's steal all of her awards of humanity and human rights because she wants to talk about differences. She's not willing to vilify one side or the other. She's trying to do what a remarkable woman does, which is to stop the war of division, polarization. That is such a refined spiritual attribute. It's called radical Dhamma mediation, not politics. And here, look what's happened. Her longtime Muslim lawyer, I was there, assassinated in broad daylight at the Rangoon International Airport, holding his granddaughter because they wanted to change the military drafted constitution and to make it a truly democratic constitution, not an artificial constitution that championed long-term permanent dictatorship. It just so boils my blood on a core level, and maybe I haven't become, Buddhistically acquainted enough, if you will, with the machinations of this samsaric fabric that we're all embedded in. But I never want to grow comfortable. I want to constantly keep alive existential rebellion. I don't want to be one. I don't want to be unified. I don't want to be a participant in this evil fabric. I want to use my voice, use my hands, don't you? Aren't we all activists by birth when we wake up to the universality of democracy and freedom, and we overcome our prejudice of oneness? We're a wholeness, interrelated. We must care for each other as family. Thank you for letting me be so wildly ranting, passionate. I don't know what else to do. It's frustrating over here. My friends and family in Burma are being persecuted, raped, and killed. I was online last night talking to two very, very old-time allies that I've known for years, in country, sharing with me the tears and the blood and the inside story of the horror. It was breaking my heart. It's family, yes. The courage to care about things larger than our own self-interest. That is a very strong Dhamma practice. Don't just think about dana. Go outside of the home and give dana. Do what we can to manifest the ancient principles of freedom and compassion and caring in dynamic action. We must learn to love, give back, elevate our brothers and sisters in revolution. Okay, I'll close. When I was with Aung San Suu Kyi, and I've been with her at different times for different lengths of time, many of you know that, we've done books together. One, the most recognized, The Voice of Hope, but all of that with my colleague Fergus Harlow has been included in Burma's Voices of Freedom, Volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. I wish those of you who have money would buy 100 copies of these 4 books, 193 copies specifically, and send them to the ambassadors. If you own Prime, send them to the ambassadors in the United Nations. Yes, that's a very good idea. Will you out there, someone who's got that kind of money, I don't know what it costs exactly, about $1,000 or so, will you go on Amazon and order 193 4 sets and send them, the addresses easily gotten, to each of the ambassadors, the representatives of the 193 civilized nations in the world, including China and Russia? Send them those volumes. Send them to all participants in the criminal court in The Hague, because these books contain the most intimate, logical, factual, deep investigative information about what happened in Rakhine State, what's gone down in Kachin State and Kaya State and Mon State and Shan State, and also in the voice of about 50 to 60 different former political prisoners. Send them to our senators and congressmen, send them to prime ministers around the world, send them to government representatives. It's only about 500 copies. Who has that money? Billions are being made on stock options, on crypto. May I invite you, someone out there, please, please, please send those books out there. They're spokes vehicles for Aung San Suu Kyi, for the elected leaders who are being incarcerated at this very moment and going to be put behind bars for life. The window of opportunity is just seconds away from closing. She was paraded before the Orwellian tribunal yesterday. Her lawyers got a few minutes with her for the first time in 3 months. She knows almost nothing of what's gone down in her own country. And you can be sure, unless we speak out, Mandela-like, Martin Luther King-like, Gandhi-like, please, 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 Bono, Geldof, President Biden, all of you out there, rock stars, singers, actors, get over it, rise up, stand up in support of Burma's civil disobedience movement. Free Aung San Suu Kyi, free the president, and free the people of Burma as our democratic family in the world. And as I said yesterday, the Dalai Lama, it's a great example. If we do not act now, how poignant this is, how tragic and poignant. There'll be no Tibet to save. We didn't speak up for Hong Kong, no Hong Kong to save. It'd be unimaginable now that Xi Jinping is threatening a kinetic war, possibly with Australia. Imagine 5 years from now, there's no Australia to save. Think Poland. Think Hungary. Think France. Think Germany. It could have been far, far worse, and 20 million people killed or died or exterminated is a pretty vast number. It should be known in Burma that Min Aung Hlaing, the former general of Burma's army, he's no longer a general of an army. He wears the decorations like he's a cartoon character in a weird totalitarian Halloween. It is such a facade, a joke, a psycho Twilight Zone. He's a Stalin figure. There's something satanic that goes down in the mind of men in power. I'm not saying only men. Where they get so intoxicated with their power, their privilege, their personas, they lose all conscience. Minds without conscience commit holocausts. They toxically, passionately delight in torture, rape, and murder. It's hard to understand an existence. I was talking to my beloved friend Janine last night, and one section of our conversation was just, there's a part of me, a big part of me, maybe you can resonate. It's just impossible to get that we're embedded in something where these words come out because of the experience that we see of evil all around us. Historically, we've known it to be true. Our land in America is soaked with the extermination of our native indigenous people. The same in Canada and Australia. The same all over the world. And what was before them? Who was before them? Who will be after us? It is so wickedly existential surreal. This is why the light of freedom, the light of democracy, the light of nonviolence, the light of hope, like Aung San Suu Kyi and the people of Burma, and how many of those radical activists that kept alive hope even within the camps, in the trains, knowing where they were going, that fight, that's what we're talking about here. Don't let her fight alone. Don't let the people fight alone. The fight is on. May I implore you to get into the yoga asana, the meditation of fight. Peace is a fight. Freedom is a fight. Courage is a fight. These are actions. The courage to care, as I understand it, being in association with freedom fighters in Burma over many decades, takes everything and more to be blindfolded, put on your knees, raped, beaten, tortured, and trying to remove from your own psyche your love, your love of dreaming, your love of freedom, your love of democracy. If that were me over there, I pray these words come back to support me. I pray if it was you over there, these words that you're sharing come back to support you, because we're all in the train together today. The world is infinitely small, and the train tracks are all leading to what I feel to be the apocalypse of a new form of totalitarianism. The war is on freedom and authoritarianism. We are destined for slave labor if we do not fight now. I would say, and I'll take the risk to say this, I think we're on the train platform right now, on the death camp of totalitarianism. We have a chance here before boarding that train. We are the many. There may be guns around us. There may be lies and propaganda around us. There may be corporate media deception around us. But we go, do you feel it? This is not right. My flat, my home, my comfort, my bank account, my mortgage, they're not safe. Inflation is one thing, but the fiat could tank. The manufacturing chains could be broken. Electrification and the grid, the Wi-Fi, the internet, the nuclear plants, in one instant. Imagine if the electricity grid went down, what that would mean. There are very perverse forces attacking us at this very moment. On all directions. We know that. We can feel it. The pandemic is one thing, but it's a concentric pandemic. The pandemic of propaganda, the pandemic of porn, the pandemic of panic, the pandemic of profiting, the pandemic of privilege, the pandemic of lies, the pandemic of claustrophobia. It's a cluster, F-U-C-K. What, who, where, what can we believe? Where is a news source that's reliable? Can I even trust my own conscience and my own intuition? I want to retreat. I want to contort. I want to do the line of cocaine of denial. I want the fentanyl of numbness. I want a momentary euphoria before I pass away. I want. Break out of that. I woke up crying today. I'm going to cry as soon as I stop today. The courage to care about things larger than my own self-interest. I don't care anymore. I want to break out. I want to remove every artifice, every armor, every form of conformity. Call it an idealistic dreamer. I want to be known in my own dreamscape, in my own rebirthing process tonight and tomorrow, should I live that long, and into my next birth, that I was a warrior of conscience in my own humble way. I stood up for the good fight and stood aligned with the good people. Aung San Suu Kyi, may I beg of you, speak up for her. Overcome bias, prejudice, and propaganda. She is an elegant person that represents the people under the most horrific, challenging context that I think the world has seen in decades. living under, now that we have seen who she has been seeking reconciliation with. An evil empire of men and their wives and family, controlled by greed, profit, privilege, Xi Jinping of China and Russia and Putin. That's who she's been trying to talk to with the ancient, primordial, feminine-inspired, nonviolent, courageous, poetic, edgy as shit. She's edgy. Disciplined in her mindful edginess. She's been talking to the sociopath and saying, hey, you, Mr. Sociopath, that's me. Let's think about the future of our people, not about your own profit, privilege, prestige, your historical greed. I'm going to redeem all of that, not forget it. We're not going to try to take you to The Hague and try you as a criminal, although they want to do that. Let's resolve it internal to the country. Let's create a dignified institution. May I invite you, Mr. Dictator, put down your gun, put down your weapon, put down the toxic, historical, conditioned, convulsive speech, thought, and behavior to dominate and oppress. Stop killing the Kachins. Stop killing the Shans. Stop killing the Karens. Stop killing the Kayans. Stop killing the Chins. Stop killing the Buddhists. Stop killing the Muslims, Mr. Dictator. Bang, bang, they shot her lawyer. Bang, bang, they incarcerated her friends. Bang, bang, they threatened her children, her family. Bang, bang, bang. We didn't hear about all these things. I did. Let's put the past behind us. Spread this video. Speak up for Aung San Suu Kyi is speaking up for democracy. It's not about one woman alone. She'd be the first to say, this isn't about me. We know that. You cannot dissolve the National League for Democracy People's Party. We are the people. What is she pointing to? We believe in freedom of speech. What I'm doing right now on Facebook Live would have me tortured or assassinated in Burma. They would carve me up and quarter me and put it on social media as an example of what you will encounter if you do what that man is doing. Basic freedom of speech is under not only assault in Burma, under assault in our own country. Cancellation today is torture tomorrow. Cancellation today is incarceration tomorrow. Cancellation today is denigration of character tonight. Cancellation today in our country is the persecution of human rights tomorrow. Everything that we stand for in America is under assault based upon the collusion of a leftist, radical leftist, democratic government and the people and the running dogs for that. Sycophants of totalitarianism, drunk on the fentanyl of cocaine mixed with profit, greed, and privilege. Canceled today is incarceration tomorrow. And if we don't stand up, we are the brown shirts, we are the red shirts, we're the Lululemon shirts, we're the mindfulness shirts of the new Fourth Reich. Burma is under assault. First they came and got the communist, Martin Niemöller said, and because I was a Lutheran priest, never did like those communists. Then they came and got the American Buddhist, just a sleazy bunch of cretins that just after profit, just bogus, get rid of them. Then they came and got those damn lesbians, girl on girl, hate them, get rid of them, way to go, Adolf. Martin Niemöller was a sympathizer, supporter for Hitler. What I just said may seem insulting. He high-fived Jews, queers, lesbians, communists, trade unionists getting on trains and being exterminated by gas and then slaved and tortured in camps. Stalin, 50 million of his own people. Mao Zedong, 2.5 million Tibetans. Where is Tibet? Where's Syria? How do you spell Yemen? Yemen? You mean Yemen? Those Muslim Cretans? Kill them. Then they came and got those Yemen Cretan Muslims, and I was a Lutheran priest, and they don't belong to this world. They're not right to belong to this world. They're not really human. They're Muslim Cretans. Let's kill them with American weapons. Let's give them to our proxy Saudi, who gives us the fentanyl, cocaine mix of oil and gas. Yee, high-five those misogynist, hooded Cretans in Saudi Arabia. But they're our brothers. Then they came and got the Saudis. I'm going to speak up a little bit because I need their oil and gas, and I like their power. And hey, Mr. Hitler, don't take that prince, but take that one. Selective compassion. Welcome to Dead Man Walking, Freedom Never Dies. It's coming up 6 weeks. I'm going to do that show somewhere in the world soon, either from Maui or Bali, Vancouver. I don't know where exactly, but I'm going to do it. I want to do it, dedicating it to the people of Burma and Aung San Suu Kyi. It's clear that I have high respect for Aung San Suu Kyi. It's clear that I have high respect for the revolutionaries in Burma. It's clear that I consider the civil disobedience movement in Burma my revolutionary brothers and sisters. It's clear that I respect the nuns and monks in Burma and worldwide as brothers and sisters of the Buddha, of the Dhamma, of the Sangha here on Wesak. It's clear, I make that point clear. I know my alignments, but deeper than all of those forms is my fidelity to my ability to use my voice in respect to conscience, the soul of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Tipitaka of civilized planetary existence. Those 3 pages, those 30 articles should be mandatory worldwide, not just in memorization, but in the practice of what it means to use your mind, young Sarabella. Use it freely. Use those hands to create, to emote. What is your art? I used to tell my daughter when we were more connected in her youth, let that heart of yours sing out. Create the movie of your dreams. Play any key on the palette, on the keyboard. Paint any color that you want with any size brush. Use the wall of our apartment as your canvas. You could even use my cheek in which she would do it. And she would sometimes paint a heart. And sometimes she would paint a cross. And we went outside against the wall. And we painted against the wall. And we would turn on Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin or more contemporary music. We don't need your mind control. Break out of the totalitarian fabric all around us today through Wall Street, through digital media, the conformity shrinking and controlling us into distorted puppets of predictable, denigrating control. Ah, another slave laborer paying their subscription fee to Netflix, to Zuckerberg, to the future of evil. What are we going to do here to save our souls and to save our planet? Burma is very compelling because the evil is so present. If you could see, and I beg of you to look, see the images that are all over the internet, and you go, don't turn away, go, that's my brother and sister. How are they connected? Their blood is democratic. Their ethnicity is Chin, Shan, Muslim, Catholic, atheist, Buddhist, Burmese. We're all children of freedom. You can't kill freedom, Mr. Ming Online, Mr. Xi Jinping. Tibet will be saved because you committed genocide 50, 60, 70 years ago. But the Dhamma, through the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan people, lives on. It's the radiance of a consciousness. I'm imploring and asking and inviting, let us feel the universality here on Wesak of a trans-religious, trans-Buddhist experience that the essence of all life. None of us want to be hunted. The squirrels in my yard, if I am too abrupt, they run. They look for safety. The hummingbirds, they're nesting right now. I go outside. They come close as if they're protecting their children. Protection and safety are the attributes of compassion. Protect the people of Burma through your awareness, through the gift of your compassion. Rise up in your mindfulness. Overcome every artifice. And let us breathe together in oneness through the caring of that which is courageous, called the courage to care of things larger than our own self-interest. I'll close here. So many wonderful things I spoke with Aung San Suu Kyi. People tell me, and I think now in reflection, as a Westerner, I think I've spent more time with her than any other Westerner. I can speak up for her. I've known her husband, he passed away. I've known her children. I know her very well. I know her friends really well. I know her teacher really, really well. I know her mentors really, really well. I know her colleagues really, really well. I've seen her in a variety of complex circumstances. I was given access to her home, her family, her friends, dinners, lunches, breakfasts, teachings, discourses, press conferences. We sat together in her living room month after month, just she and I. One of the most remarkable things that few people know about her is she is radically curious about you. I had to please. I am here to interview you. You're the Nobel laureate. I appreciate you asking me questions about my life, my background, my future, my dreams, but may we turn it back to you. Oh, yes, but you're just such an interesting person. You're a curious person to me. It's just my nature. My mother encouraged me to ask questions and to be curious about other people. It's just something very natural to me. I understand. That is so cool. The poise of character. You're with someone who's disciplined in their etiquette, their ethics, their language, disciplined in their intellectualism, but super rad in satire, in gallows humor, in comedy, in the poetics of shared space. Delightful just to watch her move her arm and drink tea, the way she would sit. Was I enamored with her in some ways? Were there flaws? Yes. She's a difficult person. Guess who's more difficult? Guess who's less difficult? We're all difficult, but committed to timeless values of listening, of questioning, of wonderment, of curiosity, of mindfulness, of compassion. My vocation, Alan, in our revolution, if the people see that we're loving together, they'll be attracted to that happiness. We must be examples of grace and courage under pressure. Nonviolence, non-demonization, and the Dharma, which our teacher, the late Venerable Sayadaw U Pandita, introduced to Burma and to the world, the Dharma of reconciliation. To me, that meme is the meme of the timeless. If we could learn to talk about our differences, end the war on nature and on life, end violence, end denigration, end domination, end genocide, end ethnic cleansing, end torture. Let us grow too with violence. Let us become attracted to those embodiments in the world who do try their very best. And she tries her very best in her own human way, as a leader, as an icon, not only in Burma, but in the world, of giving democracy a chance against the most formidable force that we've seen in modern times, this evil institution. She's choosing still to maintain a nonviolent position. Let's talk about our differences. She needs our support. The people of Burma need our support. May I encourage you, let's all foster the courage to care about Burma, about freedom, about democracy. Let's bring them into our home as family and share this video, share your thoughts worldwide frequently. Yesterday's video and today's video, may it go viral. Please share it as frequently as possible. The window of time to support the people of Burma is in the last second. I say that with conviction. We must act in uniform now. Please knock down the digital doors worldwide of apathy and give Daw Aung San Suu Kyi a voice through this video, through your own creative activism, and let the people of Burma be heard, supported, and pray, delivered to the freedom that they deserve and to the democracy that they voted in the recent elections. Let that democracy flower and not let it be denigrated by this man gone crazy named Ming Online. So from my heart to yours, thank you for tuning in. Thank you